If we destabilize the whole planetary environment, that poses a risk as to whether we can cope with that as a contemporary society, or whether we'll simply go the way of societies in the past, and that is we have a collapse and have to rebuild after that. And so, of course, those are pretty nasty sort of transitions to go through. One only has to look at the Soviet Union as an example of a fairly mild collapse, but one that occurred recently. When you did see people migrating out of Russia, you saw life expectancy go down and so on. So collapses aren't nice things to deal with. What we're trying to do is provide some guidelines for how we develop societies into the future that will reduce the risk that we would go through one of those collapse scenarios. Well, one of the things that we notice here in Australia already is through overuse of landscapes, either through too much intensive agriculture or grazing or other land cover conversion. When you do reduce the vegetation cover on landscapes, then when you get a drought, you tend to get dust storms, and it blows away a lot of the topsoil and so on. So that's a good example in Australia of the free service that having a robust vegetation cover on your landscape does. It keeps the soil in good condition. It makes it less prone to erosion and so on. So if you damage that vegetation cover or change it significantly, then you make the landscape more prone to erosion. And of course, being the land of drought and flooding rains, we have a highly naturally variable climate anyway. So that's a good example of how reducing biodiversity, reducing biosphere integrity, more appropriately, leads to a higher risk that you're going to get soil degradation. I think we can do three things. If you allow me to say three. One is getting the climate system stabilized, and that's such a prominent topic. I won't go into any more detail on that. People are aware of that. Number two is we really have to bring down the species extinction rate. And that means as we continue to develop our economies through mining, manufacturing, agriculture, and so on, we have to pay far more attention to what the impacts are on the natural world, whether the coastal zones, land systems, or whatever, and place much higher priority to revising or constricting development that is going to have big impacts. So far, environment tends to take second place to development, and this is saying that needs to change. The third thing is we need to redistribute nitrogen and phosphorus. There are many areas of the world that are deficient, like in Africa, that need more PNN to grow food, and there are areas that have far too much. So just doing that would go a long way toward pulling us back down within those boundaries. We can all live prosperous, healthy lives with a really high level of well-being into the future, but we can't do it on the same direction we're going now because we're eroding our own life support system. So the idea is having a national and indeed a global discourse about how we can change course in ways that maintain or even enhance our well-being, high standard of living and so on, but at the same time take the pressure back off the global environment. I think it's triggering that sort of discussion is really what we hope that scientific analyses like this can do.